Hello again. So today we're going to talk about the helpful exercises to hopefully aid with your treatment plans when you're working with overpronators. So these lower limb exercises are quite simple, but they have a few specific tweaks that are important to talk about. So let's move right ahead and moving on to my feet. Your typical overpronator stance is going to be a little bit more like this. So the legs are typically externally rotated, the arch is quite flat, and the rest stance is a little bit like this. So what we're going to do first with this patient is we are going to make sure that they have a stance that's wide enough, that's more like hip width stance, comfortable. And then the first step is going to be to internally rotate the legs. So they're going to feel like they're pigeon-toed ones. When their feet are straight, like right now, I feel like I'm pigeon-toed because of the pronation in the subtalar joint right now. So from this stage, what we're going to do is tell them to externally rotate the knees to the point where the ball of the foot lifts up in the air. So the first met head is going to lift up in the air, and we don't want to go that far. We're going to go to the point where it just touches the ground. Perfect. So right about here, and you're going to note that from this point, if they just flex forward a little bit more, the patella is going to be over the third toe-ish. So that's another quick little landmark that you can give them, is to just externally rotate the knees to the point where the patella, the kneecap, is right over top of the third toe. So from here, what we're going to do is teach them to prompt them to lift up the toes, and then to get down with the fingers, and then to just gently bring the big toe inwards a little bit without changing the stance, and then to bring the toes down like this. So then as we're onto this stance, what we're going to do to keep them there is actually to tell them to put a little bit of pressure onto the pad of the big toe. So from the pad of the big toe, we're pressing down, not on the ball of the foot, but on the pad of the hallux. So from here, what we're going to do is bring the hips a little bit forward and tell them to lift the heel up and to balance, to simply find the balance point when you're pressing on the big toe. From this point, this is going to feel a little bit crampy for some people. That's okay. It means we're working the right muscles. So we're going to do little ups and downs until you can get them a little bit more comfortable. For people that aren't as comfortable with balancing, obviously stand near something that you can balance on, like either a pole or a counter or something that you can hold onto. So now you can, tell them to naturally and gradually bring these up and down a little bit more, like a set, where you're like up and 1 and 2 and down, and up and 1 and 2 and down, and up and 1 and 2 and down. So then where they should feel the burn is the outside, the lateral aspect of the calf, which means that flexor lucis longus is working, because that's its attachment point where it originates, and it was on the lateral aspect of the calf. So the next progression, when people are comfortable with that, is you bring them to a step, and then they can balance on a railing or something. You can do this on the side of a staircase, and it's going to be a similar exercise, similar type of positioning. So externally rotating the knees to the point where the patella sits over top of the third toe, and then to bring it. You don't really have to bring them way down. It's just more of the fact that they're working a little bit more on their balance as the heel hovers and doesn't give you that closeness feeling to the ground. So this just brings, again, a little bit more of an element of balance. There's one point that I wanted to show you, and I'm going to need my partner here to film me right from behind on a direct straight aspect, and there's a tweak that I want to make sure that you are able to teach your patients. You got to be careful so as they come down that they don't allow themselves to do this. You see how I can pronate my subtalar joint and doing this, and by doing this my knees are medially rotating, and that's actually accentuating the pronation of the subtalar. That's not what we want to do. We want to resist that. So I want to actually invert the rear foot and allow the rear foot to drop until it just kind of stops. It does not, allow them to internally rotate the knees. The knees have to stay externally rotated the whole time. So hopefully you can see that clearly. And that's the key function in this exercise. So just doing this exercise for overpronator on a regular basis, 2 sets a day, is going to help with your plantar fasciitis patient, your hallux valgus patients, your posterior tibialis tendon dysfunction patients, your typical overpronator, and everything in between. It's a crucial one, and I hope that everybody has fun implementing that exercise into their treatment plans. Thank you.